Bolin. And this is my sister, Beverly.
Hi.
Hello.
That's my friend. What's your name?
I'm Karen.
Karen.
Nice to meet
Karen,
you.
nice to meet you.
Craig. Good to meet you.
Well, my job is, maybe flip those lights. I think we're gonna have enough light with just maybe let's leave that open just a few minutes, Carlos, in case anybody else comes and they know, we'll know it's okay to come in. Good. Again, my name's David Bolin, B-O-L-I-N. I'm the electronic design editor for Celebrating Grace Incorporated. Celebrating Grace is located in Nashville and in Macon, Georgia. We have offices both those places. And we have several different product lines. You may be familiar with them. The hymnal you're using in the chapel is a Celebrating Grace hymnal. That's the official Baylor hymnal. It's in all the worship spaces here at Baylor. Then we have Growing in Grace, which is a children's choir curriculum for grades 1 through 6. We have the Worship Matrix, which is an online service planning application. And then we have Accents Music, is what we're going to look at today. I get to work here out of Waco because in addition to doing that full-time, my part-time job, my other job is as minister of music at First Baptist Church here in Waco. I've been there almost 16 years this fall. So I know what it is to plan a worship service. Before that, I was in Honolulu, in Dallas for a few years, in the church there, and then in Honolulu for many years. I was picking up the other day, I probably planned about over 2,000 services. Man, they made me feel real old too. And not all of them good. So I know what it is to ask that question, how shall we sing this song? I'll tell you something else about me. One of the things I enjoy doing, my wife and I, we enjoy watching home and garden TV. You know, the home remodeling shows, can any of you do that? Those can be real expensive, watching those shows, because then you end up dancing in your house. For a while in Honolulu, I produced a home remodeling television show. It was on monthly, called Hawaii Remodeling Magazine. And it was built on an actual magazine. That still is in Honolulu, and in Hawaii, called Hawaii Remodeling Magazine. So I know what it is to put together one of those remodeling shows, and I like to watch them. And I find that there's some things you can always anticipate they're going to say. They're going to say something like, this house has good bones. You hear that? That means it's a dump, really. It has some kind of architectural features that are worth preserving or kind of interesting. We can do something with this. The other thing that they say is something like, this has got to go. And that usually means the floors or the wallpaper or the cabinetry, they're perfectly functional, but they just, maybe they're dated. They just don't have anything to do with, and they're against the owner's taste and say, this has got to go. And the third one, this always happens with the reveal. You'll just hear it all the time when it's revealed. The house has been remodeled and they walk in, they see it for the first time, and it's always, oh my God, as though the Almighty was sitting there in the room. So those three things. I was thinking about how that is not all that different. Those terms could be applied to song selection and how we sing a song. For example, we were to take the bones of a song, the bones of the text and the tune. Is the text good? Is the tune good? And is this worthy of us singing? It's like, is this house really worthy of us doing something with it? The text, of course, we want to look, does it teach good theology? Because many Christians' doctrine comes from what they learn to sing in songs. If you look at the Celebrating Grace hymnal, or any hymnal for that matter, but look at the topical index you'll see the outline of a systematic course in theology, if it's well put together. Hymns are important because they teach us theology. God said to Moses, teach this song to the children of Israel, and a day will come when it will bear witness to them. That's what the text does. But then we got to look and say, does this really provide language to commune with God? I mean, is there something here that people will remember? Is the poetic imagery good? Most of what we know to say to God has come to us from the language of hymns. It's particularly true for children who are learning to talk and learning to converse with adults and one another. They're also learning to converse with God. And for them to be given really great text, even if they're a little bit beyond them at the time, but they plant it in their minds, and those words can often end up in their prayer life later on. I remember for me as a little boy, I learned, "Fairest Lord Jesus, ruler of all nations." I also learned the Bible. That's the book for me. I don't turn to that much in my times of devotion anymore, but "Fairest Lord Jesus, ruler of all nations," that I turn to often. Then we look at the tune. The tune is the vehicle for the text. Does it fit the text? Do the two work well together? And then we can say it unites the congregation. That's the one thing, the one time in all the life of the congregation where they all do the same thing, hopefully at the same time, and that is sing a song. And the tune, put with a great text, that unites the congregation expressing their praise to God. And then it provides commentary on the text as well. It suggests certain things to listen for in the text. For example, if we took the hymn, "On Christ the Solid Rock," "My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness." And it's real triumphant sounding, isn't it? In Christ, in Him we are more than conquerors. But what if we took those words and put it with, "Our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness"? And that has to do with that suggests mystery about the text. Totally different light shown on the text, and the congregation can see the text, and the text can teach them something that they might not have realized with the other tune. And perhaps in their mind, as they sing that, they're reminded of the other tune, the triumphant part of it. And so in switching tunes, we hear the mystery, and in their mind's ear, they're hearing the triumph at the same time. The tune can do that, providing commentary on the text. So if the bones are the text of the tune, and I'm also going to go look at the core. This past week we went to the Parade of Homes that's happening here in Waco. So Julie and I got in the car and we went out in the sweltering heat and went to all these different homes. One of them a couple of them were built by a friend of mine. And it was interesting to look at the very different decors that were there. Well, the accompaniment is the decor of the song, and that's what we're going to talk about primarily today, is the accompaniment. Accompaniment, of course, provides basic things. It provides the tempo, the pitch, the dynamic. In my first church, I was a youth minister of music, and I did the Sunday night service, and there was a fine organist and a fine pianist, and I would say, "Let's do this for the intro," and they'd take it from there. I just kind of followed them. I got to be the one to stand there and move my hands, but I knew that the two of them were the ones that were really leading the song. But it was pretty much for them. They chose the decor every week. They gave the tempo, pitch, and dynamic. Someone was telling me about his former pastor, but he preached in a little country church, and he was doing an intern one time, and he said there was a piano player, and he always did the same intro. It didn't matter what the song was. It was kind of like da 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 da, you know, very slow or whatever, or down at the cross, or the mighty fortress is our God, or you know, da 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 da. And so this pastor said to him, you know, I just don't know when to start when you do that. And the piano player says, well, Brother Jim, that's okay. I'll catch it on the fly. So, anyway, but a good accompaniment provides tempo, pitch, and dynamic. But you know what I think it does more importantly? Is it invites the congregation into the song. It says to the congregation, this is something, or the congregation feels like, this is something I want to sing. It engages the congregation. Now, none of you are this old, but in my youth, I was strongly influenced by a folk trio called Peter, Paul, and Mary. Jason, do you even know what that is? Okay. You know,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I just thought they were wonderful. I heard them 3 times. I remember each night, just like I remember everything about it. I heard it once at the State Fair Music Hall in Dallas when I was a teenager. And then when I was a Baylor student, they sang in Morris McLean Gym over here. I know exactly where I sat in each of those places. And then the last time I heard them, and probably toward the end of their singing as a group, was in the Waikiki Shell in Honolulu. I went down there one night. I told you I was a minister of music there now. Went down there one night, sat in the back, and some friends saw me, and they had like 3rd row seats, and nobody was sitting in, and they let me come and sitting there under the stars in Honolulu listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary. Three different audiences. But what impressed me most about their singing, and still does, in my memory, is you'd sit there, and here would be a businessman, and here would be a stay-at-home mom, here would be a doctor, here would be a fireman, and they'd all start singing along. Imagine all those people, different walks of life, and they're all singing at the top of their lungs about a dragon named Puff. It's just because the song was so engaging. You know? They didn't feel silly about doing it at all. No, there was nobody saying in a Peter, Paul, and Mary concert, oh, I don't sing like they do in church sometimes. Everybody was so invited in. I often think when planning a service, what can I do? What's the Peter, Paul, and Mary approach? What would invite them into the song? What's a couple of questions you ask when you put together an accompaniment? Or answer the question, how do we sing the song? You also ask, where will the song be sung? Singing at the Waialae Baptist Church in Honolulu would be quite different than singing at the First Baptist Church of Waco, Texas. Each congregation has its own unique personality. Their backgrounds are different. Their history is different. And you've got to ask, where will it be sung? But then even within a congregation, is this going to be sung in Sunday morning service, or is this going to be sung at youth camp? And the greatest frustration can come is when you try to do one thing that's right for one place in the wrong place. And everybody just kind of sits there and looks at you. What are you doing? I learned that pretty quickly in Honolulu. Remember the Sunday we did the doxology, and I had a guest organist come in. Everybody just kind of stood there and looked, well, what is this? You know, I caught on. The other question related to that are, say, who are the musicians and what are their skills? Think about the people God has placed in your church as a gift. God's already put the musicians there. And you listen, and you look and listen to what you've got there, and you don't worry about what you don't have. That's the way I look at it. Sometimes, all the time, often, probably several times a year, maybe more. I'll get a call from a church around Waco and say, you know, David, we're just really in need of a piano player. We just can't do music without the piano player. And I'm thinking, why not? Just sing. Did Jesus have a piano player at the Last Supper when they sang their hymn and went out? Just sing. On Sunday mornings at Wildlife Baptist Church, I'd walk in, I didn't know if I was going to have a piano player. I was more likely to have an ukulele player or a guitar player. Then you say, that's who God put here. And I don't worry about not having a piano player. Now, that's what I tell myself. I still worry a little bit, but I tell myself, don't go with what God put here. I just came back from Honolulu, and we go every summer for a month. And while I was there, I was invited to do the music and the message at a retirement home. Beautiful, beautiful place. Oh, it's just gorgeous. And there's about 25 people there. And there's a man there named Sam. And I remember Sam. He was in my church when I was a minister of music there. And Sam played the leaf. He'd take a leaf, a tea leaf, and he'd tear it just so, and he would stretch it, and he could play Amazing Grace, and he could play a lot of different hymns. So God gave a leaf player. So let's use Sam playing the leaf. So that's what we ask ourselves. But then I come here and I've got performance majors at Baylor, and I've got a 30-piece orchestra, and I've got a jazz band that's just phenomenal, and I've got a wonderful pipe organ, and all those things. And I so enjoy doing that. But I cannot say to you that I am any more moved or blessed, nor is the congregation any more moved and blessed singing with all those wonderful things versus Sam and the leaf or the ukulele. So we ask ourselves, what did God put here for us to work with? Just like an interior designer saying, what do I got to work with? And you make the most of it. So anyway, that's what we're trying to do at Celebrating Grace, is to put together resources that enable churches from different styles, different creations, to find resources that help their program. And that's what I want to show you today. Not all of this is going to work at your church. And some of it hopefully will. That along with other things you discover from other publishers. So let's look at it. The name of our accompaniments and all our, actually not only accompaniments but anthems, is called accents. And we have these things as accompaniments. Simplified piano. There's 194 arrangements of these. And these are for the beginning pianists. This is the little church where basic piano skills, but you're not going to do anything fancy. Simplified piano, but it's a little bit better than what can be found just in the hymnal. Then there's piano and organ arrangements. 338 of those. Now those can be played piano and organ. They can be played just organ. They can be played just piano. Sometimes I'll put the organ on the intro, bring the piano in on the second stanza or something like that. These are good arrangements. With each arrangement there's two settings. There's a basic hymnal harmonization, and then there's a free harmonization as well. There's 247 handbell arrangements for a variety of different octave formations. With each handbell arrangement, there's two settings. One which is like you're hearing now, just basic hymnal harmony, and the other one is more involved, like the broken chords and more rhythmically interesting and more of a challenge for players, and perhaps could be done as an interlude or stand alone, even without the congregational singing. Then there's 323 orchestrations. most of these are for full orchestra. Some are for just brass. Some are strings, woodwinds. But I find that I can pull parts from the full orchestration and use them with whatever group I have. Like my jazz band, I'm able to take the parts from the orchestration. There's sax substitution. I'm able to use that with my jazz band. I put it with the piano and organ, and it sounds good. But this is what like a full orchestration would sound like. Then we've taken the descant. Each orchestration has a descant that's written. We've taken those, or we're beginning to, and have them separate, sell them as separate products. I've just started doing that, and so we got 34 of those pulled from the orchestration, and our goal will be to get them all eventually, and they're very inexpensive. I think the price for a descant is $3. Then there's festive finish. What we've done is to take the free harmonization of the piano and organ piece I was telling you about and orchestrate it. So this is setting 2 for the piano and organist, and then it's an orchestration built on it. So these just sound magnificent. I've used a lot of different orchestrations from different hymnals, and I'm talking as a minister of music now. What I really enjoy about these is they're not formula-like. There's something of real interest here. They don't exist just to support congregational singing, but they join with the congregation. It's both together are very powerful, and I can tell. Like I said, most of all my instrumentalists are performance majors here at Baylor. They enjoy playing these. They really, because they know it's good. They look forward to it. I'm not going to say there's not a bad one in the bunch, because I hadn't used them all. I'm just saying the ones I've used have been really just exceptional. And I'm very, I was telling the worship matrix group I led just a little while ago that I'm probably the biggest purchaser of some Ready Grace orchestration, just because I just think they're so good. Let's move on. Now I can take those and I can mix them up. So like there's handbells and the orchestra woodwinds pulled from each arrangement. And that's a pretty nice, that'd make a nice little offering music, wouldn't it? And I don't have to use all the woodwind. Maybe there's a nice flute line that I can pull and use it with the handbells. I don't have to use all of it. Or I could take, I like this. This is pulling the strings and putting them with the handbells. These are synthesized samples, so you can't really tell how beautiful it is, but it's pretty nice. Or I like this, take the descant part, put it with the organ. Work well together. And then I can take them all and put them together like this. questions on any of those accents, accompaniments? Does that sound good?
I think it's a great idea that you can, that essentially they're the same for each different thing, so that you could pick and choose and, you know, do a stanza with this and a stanza with that, and then finish with this, and be able to not just say, well, this is my piano organ version,
Yeah.
but gosh, what am I going to do with my orchestra? Or, gee, I wanted the handbells to play, but I was using the orchestra version. You can just mix and match.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes it really, really
Yeah.
useful, smart.
Do you receive them on disc where you could transpose them if you needed to, or?
No, those come as PDF files.
Okay.
But in the hymnal, you know, on all the, like things like Be Thou My Vision, that tune, I mean, that's common to other texts too. So like in any hymnal, they'll have different keys, like this little higher key here, little lower key here, and so you're able to get the arrangement. You would be able to get that tune in several different keys. But we haven't done like finale files and all that and transposed it. Now, this is something nobody's seen. You're the first. This is called bridge songs. This is what I've been working on for Celebrating Grace. And maybe it comes a lot out of my Hawaii experience, and maybe it has something to do with my jazz band and all that, is, you know, you have the big orchestration, you can have the handbells, but what if you have a cello player and a flute player and maybe a sax player, and you got a guitarist, and you can put a keyboard part. What do you put together for them, you know? And the other thing is, along with that, the accents arrangements, the accompaniments are kind of classical hymnody, and the accompaniments that support that, as you've heard. But what if they say, David, couldn't we do something with guitar, and could it, you know, more of a contemporary sound, and people look for the words to say that to you, and then you say, you think in your own mind, yeah, but what would balance that with the hymn as the congregation knows it? Because, you know, we hear a lot of hymns where it's jazzed up, and somehow, like we were talking about, the tune fit in the text, somehow it lost its character, and it's not good commentary on the text anymore. So this is what we've been working on, called bridge songs, and I'm going to just ask you to sing along with me on these. I don't have music for you, but we're going to do some very common ones, common tunes. The first is called Come Thou Almighty King. This is by Zach Hicks. Zach grew up in my children's choir program in Honolulu. He's now the pastor of worship at Coral Ridge Presbyterian in Fort Lauderdale. So see, I've got guitar, there's a keyboard part, and then little obligato part. This could be any C instrument. We'll probably do it for B flat instrument too. Here's a second line that could be used, doesn't have to be. And then character of the tune is the same, saying, Come thou almighty King, help us thy name to sing, help us to praise, Father all glorious, o'er all victorious, come and reign o'er us, ancient of days. Now this stanza, we're going to add a little counter melody in the voice part, so it'll be like a two-part voice. This comes in. Jesus, come, thy mighty soul, thy prayer come and thy kingdom, and give thy wisdom, Spirit of holiness on us descend. Now we're going to switch male, female, but again, you can do it a different way, you know. You don't have to use it. It's all up to your own creativity. This could be like a youth choir number, maybe an ensemble number, with the congregation. I think Zach has has this buoyancy about it, just fresh and it's alive. Little modulation. Couple of changes a bit here. Refrain to go with it. I really like This is Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus by Ryan West. He's my associate for the baptism. I love this tune. He uses strings that can be substituted with other instruments. We'll be writing a keyboard part for this.
Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, vast, unmeasured, boundless, free, rolling as a mighty ocean in its fullness over me.
Bring in a second part here.
Underneath me, all around me is the current of His love.
This could have started with just congregation. This, for the demo, we used a solo.
Leading homeward to that glorious rest
We're bringing percussion now, and the choir, or the congregation.
Jesus, spread His praise from shore
It's going to build, and we're going to add a trap set here on the last stanza. Okay, here's another one. This is kind of a folk arrangement of this tune, which works real well, I think, with the text and the tune. That the core is right for this.
This is my Father's word, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and around me rings the music of the spheres, the music of
There's some rhythmic alteration from the tune as we know it, but it's not so strong that the congregation can't follow along.
This is my
Add voice parts here, some really nice harmony.
the birds their carols raise, the morning light, the very morn, declare their makers, declare their praise, declare their makers' praise.
This is the first time we bring in the refrain. This is by Peter Emerson. And I did another one, Holy, 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 which is kind of surprised me, kind of down home country version of Holy, Holy, Holy. my contribution. I sat around in some friend's house in Hollandville and said, let's sing some hymns. So somebody said, blessed assurance. And so I was thinking about them and where will the song be sung? So I put together this little kind of a Hawaiian type.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story.
So we go to parts here.
This is my song.
Little flute, obligato, any instrument.
All the day long. This is my story. This is my song. Praising my Savior all the day long.
So tell me, do you feel comfortable singing those? Are you okay? So it's just a different way to invite people into those texts. Now we still have the piano and organ, the orchestrations, different style than that. But we're going to put together more of those, which the songs are approached in new ways, but nevertheless, where people still recognize it, and it's shining the light on it without changing the character of it, is the goal. We'll also take some text and put new tunes with them. That's a big thing now, is retuning, they call it. If you're familiar with, there's a site called indeliblegrace.com, and that's a big site about retuning. And it'll take something really great, ancient texts that long have been forgotten, and put in new tunes with it, and it's a good thing. Now, I want us to look at some of the anthems we've got. Our anthems can be done with choir alone, choir in congregation.
I have a quick question
Uh-huh.
before we go to this. Are we essentially seeing what's on the website? I mean, are there sound samples of all these so that we could go in and listen to 90 seconds to see if that's the one we want to get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And are there PDF samples so we can kind of see what the parts are and then know that's what we want to get?
Yes, sir.
Fabulous.
Is this all that's done right now? Is this
Well,
the
no,
exhaustive?
I'm back, I'm gonna qualify what I'm saying. These have not been released yet,
Okay.
so you can't see these.
Okay.
The accompaniments that we
Yeah.
showed you, you can see all those.
And when are those scheduled to come up?
This will be probably mid-September.
Oh, okay,
Is about the
soon.
window. Yeah, soon.
Okay. And how many tunes do you think you're going to open?
That's all
with?
we'll have at the
Just so-
beginning, yeah. And we'll gauge the response of these. If these do well, we'll probably do maybe a dozen a year or so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is that something you think you might use, some of those?
Here's my deal.
I want to hear your deal.
I've got a congregation that's 80% over 80, and they want it the way they've been singing it for the
Okay.
last 72 years since
Mhm.
they started singing in church.
Mhm.
And those of us in the music ministry feel like that's great, but we need to bring them along. And if we don't do more that's more interesting, pretty soon they're all going to be dead and we're not going to have church. And so I'm always looking for ways to introduce them to new things that have some sort of familiar grounding to them, if you will. And using that, the hymn tune is the same, the words are the same, the rhythm is just slightly, they can hang on to it. It's not so rock and roll, because, you know, we do have a contemporary service, but, oh, that's, you know, can't go that. it's not that sort of thing. It's approachable for them,
Mhm.
and that's kind of what I'm thinking, you know. And I could start easy with just maybe piano and one line, and then
Yep.
try it again in 3 months and add a couple of more things on that same
Absolutely.
hymn to just make them feel really kind of familiar with it.
That's exactly why we're calling it bridge songs.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's why we call it that. And when they see, okay, here's somebody up there playing their clarinet on this. Well, I used to change his diapers in the nursery. You know, then there's a connection there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they like it when we,
Yeah.
you know, when we have something, you know, we have a lot of youth. The young people we do have are youth, and they play a lot of instruments. And this would also be a good way to use them in worship, because I'm constantly looking for ways to try to use them in worship too.
Good.
So that'd be,
That's
and
good to
and
hear.
they would like it better if 400 people were singing and not necessarily just listening to them play their one little tune.
Oh, yeah.
Then they feel more comfortable, and
Yeah.
they're, you know, more likely to do it for me.
Well, that's exactly the situation that we have in mind. Now, again, we're starting with 5 here. And when you start something new, these things are refined, you learn, you listen. We're just putting this out there and see what comes back.
Right.
And as time goes by, we'll listen to people like you, and they will write with those things in mind, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think we got a good little start right here. But what this eventually becomes is exactly to speak to that situation, and we hope to do that quite well. Now, look at some of our anthems here. We have 281 of these, and 166 are with orchestrations. Sometimes the orchestration is just brass, sometimes strings, woodwinds, sometimes full orchestra. This one, first, what I give you, coming off what I, okay, let's sing a little of this. This is with just brass. This is what we give the choir. This saves you paper.
Come thou fount of every blessing, turn my heart to sing thy praise. Streams of mercy never cease me, call for songs of loudest praise. From the waters sonnets, claiming tongues above, praise the mount I fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Perfect yet eternal, deeper all the way. Hidden in the heart of His blessed hand, never fall can follow, never take to stand. Not a church of worry, not a shade of care, not a breast of worry, touch the Spirit there, and we are stay upon Jehovah, hearts are fully blessed, finding as He promised, perfect peace and rest.
See if you got an idea we'll do that whole thing. Let's start that little line that they got there. And then we got, let's look at one more. Let's get in the Christmas spirit here. This is one with full orchestra.
Trump
festival sound for
Yeah.
Christmas. So all these anthems are hymn tune based, because when Celebrating Grace started, their primary product was Celebrating Grace hymnal, and all this was to support that. And as we go into this next year, though, we'll be writing anthems that aren't just hymn tune based. Any questions on our Accents products? Okay, now here's some good. Here, all this is managed in what's called the Worship Matrix, which is an online application. This is what it looks like, worshipmatrix.com. You can see all the service plans right there that are being worked on. And when the groups are scheduled, and there's, we had a whole class on this, I'm not gonna go into all that. But I'm gonna go here to content, and we're gonna go up to hymns, selecting a hymn. And I'll select Be Thou My Vision, which we heard earlier, some of the accompaniments. We perform the search. There it is, and then we see the hymnals in the worship matrix. We have 5 hymnals, and where that hymn will be found. Then there's lots of features here. There's biographical sketches, there's hymn view that allows me to see the hymn as it appears in Celebrating Grace hymnal. There's the biographical sketches, so you hit that and it'll bring up the biography of the composer or source. There's hymns considered, which is a devotional built on each hymn. Tune view, you can see the tune. Then you can connect to other scripture passages that are based on, that allude to that hymn, and then find hymns that are based on that scripture. So it's a kind of a service planning application. Then you can add those things to add that service to an actual service plan and put together your order of service that way. So like there's the beginning of it right there. But what I wanted to show you is how to go about managing all your accompaniments in the worship matrix. There you see links to all the different accents arrangements that we have for that particular hymn tune. You can connect to that, and your question a minute ago. You can see that, and then there's a place to listen to it, or then view the arrangement.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
So then I could purchase that, and then Celebrating Grace stores it for me. All my arrangements for that tune can be stored in the worship matrix. That's the things not Celebrating Grace. This is just anything I might have in my music library. And then the ones that I do buy from Celebrating Grace, I can download right there from within the matrix. So as I'm planning, okay, I need that piece of download it. I don't have to go chasing it down the music library or anything like that. I can connect it to the detail page for that particular arrangement in the music library by hitting that detail button. So that's how I manage it. Then I can schedule that accompaniment to go with the hymn, and then that will keep record of what accompaniment that I use when, with what, and I can review past service plans and see how I've used that before. Okay? So there I am on accompaniment. And then I can put instructions as I work with that song. How shall we sing this song? I can say to the musicians, this is how we're going to do this. So I can prepare them a report for that service, and I can prepare one for the congregation. Women's second stanza, men third, whatever, and that's going to appear in their worship bulletins. I can say to the technicians, we're going to need this microphone, this lighting, whatever. And so that's what happens with the worship matrix. There's also in the worship matrix something called tune helps. Like here's a transition, an interlude that can be used with Shine Jesus Shine. Then there's behind the song, which will give a suggestion of how what you might do with that song. So that helps answer the question. I'll show you another one of those. I'm gonna look up Morning is Broken. Perform the search, and then you'll see here that we have quite a few different arrangements for that. All those are free within the worship matrix, different interludes, etc. Now, here's some good news. We're going to come out with some prepaid plans here in the fall. There'll be 3 plans, and depending on which one you get, depends on this, will give you different amounts of savings. But each one of the plans come with a free subscription to the worship matrix, which will allow you to plan your service and all that. A normal subscription to the worship matrix is $199 a year. So I can't remember, but say like perhaps there's one that's you pay $500, no, you pay $300, and you get $500 worth of Accents music and a free subscription to the worship matrix, something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's something similar. So that's coming here in the fall. But until then, for you, I've set up a code, a gift coupon. That's the code. You want to write that down. Accents, all capital 714. And you can go to celebrating grace.com, as you see it there. And you can buy $40 worth of Accents products free. And I think the most expensive Accents product would be an orchestration, around $45. But you could get a couple of piano organ things for that. You still have money left over. You could get an anthem for that and make as many copies as you want to for your choir for that $40. But it only applies to Accents products. That's not going to help you with hymnals or growing in grace or anything else. It's just for Accents products. That will be good for 10 days after the end of the Hallelujah Conference. Accents 714. Then also for you,
Thank you.
you can try out the Worship Matrix free. As a explore the Worship Matrix free. You go to this link right here. And normally that's a 30-day trial period, but I'm going to extend that for all the people that do that during the Hallelujah Conference. So if you do that within the next week or so, then I'll extend that. What my goal is to extend it to the fall, to where these prepaid plans kick in, and then you can decide if you want to continue with the prepaid plan rather than going into normal worship matrices subscription. Any questions on any of that? I think that's all I got for you.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And,
Thank you.
hope that's a big help for you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's some
We do
good
do
stuff
some
in
of
there.
those where it's a hymn, but it's a special arrangement, the congregation can sing along
Uh-huh.
with this, but it's a little special.
Yep.
That's just, yeah.
Well,
Our organist does that all the time. He pulls from different books and
Mhm.
says, he instructs the choir, we're gonna have this kind of interlude and blah, 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 blah.
it sounds like you got a good organist.
We do.
And what do you do there with the music?
I wave my arms.
Oh, all right. Yeah, like me, huh?
Yeah.
We had the best seat in the house,
And do some
don't we?
arrangements, or, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, bring in those special music, train, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
fantastic.
Okay,
Well, good. Well, God bless you all, and
thank you.
Thank you.
Great.